Cyprus Citizenship-By-Investment Application Documents. First, we will discuss the business visa application documents. Then, we will discuss in Part 2 the immigration application documents.
Two types of visas are acceptable as the entry visa into Cyprus: a C visa issued by the Cypriot Embassy and a multi-entry Schengen visa. If needed, the applicant must apply for a valid entry visa to inspect the properties. Citizens of the following countries are not required to have Cypriot visas for a stay of up to 90 days, provided they are bona fide visitors. If your clients are citizens of any of these countries, then they are not required to get a visa to enter Cyprus to inspect the properties. Short-stay C business visas are issued by the Embassy of Cyprus for people who will visit Cyprus for business purposes. It is valid for a period of 5 to 10 days. Multi-entry Schengen visas are classified as a short-stay visa. They are based on the Schengen policy, where if you have the multi-entry Schengen visa, you can transit from other Schengen countries into Cyprus, and you will not need an extra entry visa when you enter the country. Passports should be valid for at least 6 months. They must also have at least 2 blank pages, and if the applicant has obtained a new passport, they must provide the old passport and a copy of the relevant pages. Each applicant must provide 2 photographs taken within the last 6 months. The photos must have a white background and should be 35 mm by 45 mm in dimension.
Bank statement, printed 1 week prior to application. Should include at least 3 months of bank statements. Must have a minimum balance of 65,000 euros. Must be stamped. And please note that large transfers into the account may arouse some suspicion, and both the applicant and spouse may combine funds for the sake of the application process. Proof of employment. Applicants must provide evidence of employment. These documents must be stamped as well as be written in English and in their country's official language. Employment vacation should exceed your duration in Cyprus. If an applicant is unable to provide the documents above, he or she must have their marriage certificate notarized and legalized by the local authority and the Embassy of Cyprus in their respective countries. If the applicant can't provide an employment letter, then the applicant must provide their bank statement showing their balance. Basic household registration. If all applicants are registered under the same basic household registration, the names of all applicants are on the same registration, only one original registration book is needed. Certificate of marriage. If the applicant and spouse apply together, only one marriage certificate is needed. If the applicant applies for themselves, then no marriage certificate is needed. Proof of retirement. Retirees can provide the proof of their retirement. The following documents can be a duplicate or copy of their original version. For ID cards, both sides must be visible on the same page. A copy of the company's business license must show the same information as the proof of employment, and it must be stamped by the company. The following documents are to be prepared for minor children. An original version of the birth certificate. An original version of the notarized birth certificate authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Cyprus. And an original version of the notarized proof of kinship. Student IDs must also be an original version. A letter of permission from the school must be granted to the children and include the letter-headed document with the school's information containing the children's name, birthday, passport number or ID number, time of enrollment, grade and subjects, and vacation permission, which should be longer than the actual trip. Stating that all of the expenses associated with the trip are covered by the parent. And all documents must be in English and their native language and certified by agreement issued by the guardian. If the child applies with only one of their guardians, then the remaining guardian needs to write a statement expressing his or her consent of the child's travel arrangement. Please note, it should be notarized and authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Cyprus. The following documents should be prepared by the service agency. The application form, which includes the applicant's present address and phone number, the applicant's father's name, the applicant's spouse's name, birthday, and birthplace, and the children's name and birthday. Ticket reservations. Flight reservations must be consistent with the dates of entry and departure on the application form. You need to provide the English version. Please note, agencies can help with the booking of the tickets, but only for applying for the visa. An invitation letter. The agency will contact the developer to issue the related invitation letter. All of the related documents must be translated into English. Now we will move on to Part 2, the immigration application documents. After the inspection of the properties and investment, the applicant can go back to their homeland to prepare the application documents. Universal documents include passport, photos, birth certificate, clean criminal record, marriage certificate if applicable, a resume that is written in English, and the application form for the residence permit, the MIP-1 form, as well as the application form for naturalization, the M127 form. The passport must be valid for more than 6 months, and a photocopy must be made of all of the pages, including the cover. Photos must include 2 color photos against a white background that are 35 millimeters by 45 millimeters in dimension, and they must have been taken within the last 6 months prior to the application. Birth certificates need to provide the original version, which is authorized by both the local authority and the Embassy of Cyprus. Please note, the main applicant's parents do not need to provide this. They only need to provide the main applicant's birth certificate to establish kinship. A clean criminal record. Applicants are required to provide proof of a clean criminal record issued by the birthplace and current residence. The period of validity is 3 months prior to application. A marriage certificate. If the applicant is married, they need to provide the marriage certificate, which must be notarized and legalized by the Cypriot Embassy. The English resume, printed and signed with blue pen. The content includes a brief introduction of the working and educational experience of the applicant. The MIP-1 form, application form for residence permit, must be signed by the applicants within the Cypriot law firm while they're in the country, or in the Embassy of Cyprus in their home country. The M127 form, the application form for naturalization, must be filled out by the applicants and signed in the Cypriot law firm if they are in Cyprus, or signed within the Embassy of Cyprus in their home country. special documents include, for the main applicant, evidence of the investment in Cyprus. This could include subscription agreements, deeds of properties, and investment payments. Please note that if parents of the main applicant are accompanying them, they need to provide their documents after the main applicant receives their Cypriot citizenship. These documents include evidence of the children or the main applicant's investment in Cyprus, which could include the deed of properties or their investment payments. Additionally, parents of the main applicant must include copies of the main applicant's naturalization certificate, shown here on the right. They must also show a copy of the main applicant's Cypriot passport, again shown here on the right. For adult children between the ages of 18 and 28, they must provide marriage certificate, if applicable, which must be notarized and legalized by the Cypriot embassy. They must also provide copies of the main applicant's evidence of citizenship and the main applicant's Cypriot passport.
Adult children between the ages of 18 and 28. They will require evidence of their full-time studies. If they are studying in an English-speaking country, the original certificate can be issued. If the country is a non-English speaking country, apart from the original certificate, an English translation, which is notarized by the local authority and the Embassy of Cyprus, is also required. Copies of their bachelor degrees certificate. If they are studying for their master's degree, copies of their bachelor's degree are also required.
For children under the age of 18, the following documents must be provided: a passport that is valid for more than 6 months, as well as copies of all of the pages, including the info page and the cover of the passport. The M126 form, or application form for naturalization. The main applicant with Cypriot citizenship must fill out the form on behalf of their children. And a birth certificate, which must be a notarized version authorized by both the local authority and the Embassy of Cyprus. Children under the age of 18 must also provide the following documents: the notarized copy of the main applicant's marriage certificate, authorized by the local authority and the Embassy of Cyprus. They must also provide copies of the main applicant's Cypriot passport and their evidence of citizenship. The MIP1 form, application form for residence permit, and the main applicant needs to sign this form and have it witnessed in either a Cypriot law firm if they are in Cyprus, or the Embassy of Cyprus in their home country on behalf of their children. For children under the age of 18, they must also provide a notarized certificate of agreement for immigration issued by the other guardian. If the child applies with only one of their guardians, then the other guardian needs to write a statement expressing his or her consent of the child's immigration and sign it in a Cypriot law firm or Embassy of Cyprus. Or they can provide the notarized authorization by the local authority and the Embassy of Cyprus. No matter the signed statement or the notarization, the applicant needs to prepare 2 versions, one for providing the citizenship documentation, the other for receiving the children's passport. For children under the age of 18, they must also provide a notarized certificate of agreement for immigration issued by the remaining guardian. If one spouse remains in their respective country, he or she must provide evidence that the guardian wishing to gain citizenship is authorized to apply on behalf of their children. This can be a written statement that must be notarized and witnessed by the Embassy of Cyprus or signed in Cyprus and witnessed by a legal representative. The following documents must be prepared by the legal representative: the POA, or power of attorney. This will be drafted by the lawyer, and then the adult applicants must sign it in a Cypriot law firm or an Embassy of Cyprus. Regarding minor children, the main applicant who is a Cypriot citizen needs to fill out and sign this form in the Cypriot Law Form or Embassy of Cyprus on behalf of their children. Copies of the advertisements in a daily newspaper and 2 consecutive posts will also be provided by the lawyer. Thank you for listening.